Hey everyone, Ashton here from MuseThemes.com. Let's take a look at our new diagonal thumbnail slider widget. This is a really slick widget showing a slider that's built to display multiple images in each slide. As we can see when we click the next arrow, the image, thumbnails, and captions scatter in different directions, and all captions are customizable per slide. It's a very versatile widget because it accepts images in any shape or aspect ratio, and it's great for heroes or as a portfolio slider. Now keep in mind that this widget is not intended to link things such as individual images, but instead is designed to display image thumbnails in groups. Let's switch over to Muse and take a look at how to set this up. Starting with a blank page here in Muse, we're going to recreate what's seen on our product page demo. So let's go into our widget library, and we'll drop the widget onto our canvas. Feel free to size this widget to your liking, as the widget container controls the size of the slideshow. I'll go ahead and align the whole widget to the top of the page. We definitely suggest running this widget in a larger size. Many people will want to use this as a feature in their hero. So I'm going to set this to be full browser width so that the widget will be responsive, and we'll set the height to 780 to give us plenty of space to work with. With these settings, the slider will fill the screen on most browsers. Now let's take a look inside the settings panel. Now I'm going to wait to talk about the settings at the top of the options panel here until I have some images loaded in. So let's drop right into the slide 1 settings. We'll begin by adding our 4 images here for our first slide. I've already got the same images prepared here that we used in the demo, and they're already optimized. So one by one here, we can easily add them directly into slide 1. And there we go. And now we can enter our caption text for the top, middle, and bottom rows. And I'll use what we have in our demo. Display your best. Perfect. Let's jump down to slide 2 and we'll repeat the process. We'll add all 4 of our images. There we go. And we'll add our 3 lines of text. We have bring to light. Great. And we'll add one more slide here so we can see the full functionality. So we'll make sure it's enabled, and we'll add our images. Okay. And finally, our caption for this one, upgrade your hero. Beautiful. Now that we have our images loaded, let's style things up a bit down here in the slideshow styling. We have an option here for image opacity, which sets the opacity of the images as the name implies. The reason you might want to use this at a partial opacity, meaning there is some transparency to the images, is that it allows the caption text to be more readable. But we'll bump this up to 0.7. For background color, this sets the color of the entire slideshow background, and we'll go ahead and just match our site background for now and keep this as black. And let me just adjust a few more of the styling settings here so we can match our demo. So we'll start with the line height for each row, and we'll make them 1.3, 1.2, and 1.3. And then we'll do the font sizes for each row, 95, 50, and 95. And finally, instead of Source Sans Pro for the font, we're going to make this Roboto Slab for each. Great. Let's go ahead and preview this in a browser. And there we go. We've already got our slider filling our browser space nicely, and each transition operating smoothly and beautifully. So this, as it stands now, is identical to our product demo. But one thing you might have noticed is that the images are partially cut off along the top and bottom here. That's normal, and it happens because the entire group of thumbnail images are tilted at a 22.5 degree angle, so a portion of the images shift outside of the wrapper. Now, we don't mind this at all in our demo as it keeps the images large and engaging, but if you do prefer to not have any images cut off, there are some settings that you can use to do that. So back in the widget options panel, let's take a look at these settings at the top that we skipped over in the beginning. We can see we've got image wrapper width, height, and mobile image wrapper. These settings allow us to reduce the size of the image grouping a bit. Now, since our images are being clipped on the top and the bottom, but are fine on the left and right, we'll leave the image wrapper width alone, but reduce our image wrapper height down to 80%. There we go. Now let's preview in a browser again. And now we can see that all of our images are being fully contained on the page. Back in that Widgets panel again. You can also use the mobile image wrapper setting to keep things in check on mobile if you see any issues there. Now the last remaining settings are the slider angle settings. These just control the tilt of the entire group of images. Now as you can see, we've had an angle of 22.5 set, but this can be set to anything you like, including 0 for a totally level slideshow. And keep in mind that there is a separate angle setting here for mobile. One final thought I want to say here, keep in mind that this widget does load a lot of images, and even though it only displays image thumbnails, it will still use whatever you give it. So meaning if you're loading 5,000 pixel images straight off your camera, the browser will have to load those massive images even though they're only displaying at the smaller thumbnail sizes. If all of your images are like 5,000 pixels, you could be dealing with images that are like 6 megabytes a piece, and that would cause your page to load very slowly. So all this to say, be sure to reduce the image dimensions that you're using, as well as the size for optimum page performance. You should be safe using image dimensions of about 1,000 pixels on the long side. Once you've resized the images you're using, pass them through an image optimizer, like JPEG Mini, Tiny JPEG, or even the optimizer built into your photo editing software. Your final images should end up being less than about 200 kilobytes or so. So that about covers it. Thanks again, as always, for joining me. Feel free to reach out to us in support if you have any questions that I didn't cover here. And until next time, this is Ashton with MuseThemes.com, and we'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.